Did you guys see the new trailer? Man, he looks, the game. The game looks good. Ha ha ha. Ha. Ha.
There were a lot of new reveals in the recently released trailer for Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, showcasing the new world, the new characters, and the new Pokemon, including a first look into the legendaries we'll be facing.
So far with everything that we have, which isn't a lot, there is some reasonable speculations that Scarlet and Violet may be dwelling into the realms of time travel, specifically with the box art legendaries Koraidon and Miraidon. While not much is known about these Pokemon aside from the official website claiming that these two Pokemon are said to have powers that far surpass those of other Pokemon, details about them are still shrouded in mystery. We do have their names.
Koraidon uses the Japanese word korai, meaning ancient, aka the past, while Miraidon uses the Japanese word mirai, meaning future. And I totally did not pick up on this because of Mirai and Nikki. Haha. There are other elements of this present, such as the designs for the two new professors, as Professor Seda appears more, ancient, given her name also derives from the Spanish word pasada, translating to past, while Professor Turo, or Futuro, the Spanish word for future, has a more futuristic and technological concept. The first trailer also kind of hints at the aspect of past expeditions, which the Spaniards were quite known for, as well as modern-day references, specifically to Game Freak headquarters, which is a Japanese video game company. Very futuristic compared to gold coins and paper maps, I would say so myself.
This also isn't the first time Pokemon has dwelled into time travel. The most recent game, Pokemon Legends Arceus, revolves around this very concept, with the core of their story revolving around... spoiler stuff. Censor this. Beep beep boop bop boop.
In all honesty, we jest, because we do recommend playing the game, and a lot of the points we want to point out can be considered a spoiler for what hasn't been a year-old game.
I thought this game came out like years ago.
Dang.
Now, why do we bring this up? How can a concept of past, future, and time travel relate to myth and folklore? Well, surprisingly, we found the lead.
Somewhere in the Iberian Peninsula, where the game takes place, exists an area known as the Basque country. Here we find the indigenous group called the Basques, who are known to have one of the richest mythologies in Europe, much of which barely survived, but has evolved under Christianity around the 4th to 12th century. It is with this specific culture that we find folklore that closely resembles what we know so far about Koraidon and Miraidon.
So why don't we start at the very beginning, the past, with Koraidon. While we know nothing about Koraidon aside from its possible etymology, Dragon of the Past, as well as having powers that surpasses all other Pokemon, it may be based on a marine iguana, a Komodo dragon, or even a fan-throated lizard. We can see this with its webbed feet, the shape of its head, and of course, the giant wheel on its throat. I mean, it's kinda hard to miss that specifically. Speculations of what else it can be are just its probable dragon typing for obvious reasons, which is a good starting point to look for possible cultural inspirations. Basque mythology has no shortage of dragons in its lore. If we were to look at the older stories, we have Sugar? Sugar? The deity of pre-Christian Basque myth. This ancient dragon is known to fly across the sky to meet up with his wife, Mari, every Friday, apparently, appearing as a fire sickle or a fireball, which often forebodes the storm that erupts every time the two lovers meet.
Sorry, children.
Sugar, etymologically speaking, could translate to male serpent, or flame of fire, which, logically it could have been flame serpent or male of fire, but our sources actually said what we just said, which is kinda hilarious to think about. Picture a ball of fire with a flamethrower in hand. Anyways, another name for this deity can be Sugoi, where Suge and Oi may translate into old serpent, emphasizing how absolutely ancient this dragon may actually be. There is also a widespread theory that Koraidon may be a fire dragon type, harkening back to the flame of fire aspects of Cigar, further cementing the inspiration of this Pokemon. It's only fitting that the Pokemon based on it would be a legendary. Not to mention that the Don in Koraidon's name means Lord in Spanish, which also harkens back to the immense power and superiority that this Pokemon has. Then again, it could all just be a motorcycle, cause ride on? Leave
Leave a like if you got that, cause I certainly didn't.
But Rhydon! Rhydon's the first Pokemon! It all comes together! Rhydon!
Driving past that confusion into what could possibly be infinity and beyond, we have Miraidon, who seems just as straightforward with its etymology having future, Mirai, in it. Its design has more robotic elements with its LED light eyes, metallic mouth, and jet engine legs. And I do have to admit, the first time I saw it, it kinda looked like a
Richard! It looks like a Richard.
Okay. You'd think that it would be difficult to find the concept of Dragon of the Future or Man-Made Dragon in old Basque lore, or any lore for that matter. But surprisingly enough, we found one. Around the 19th century, far more recent than medieval times, there was a romantic Basque writer and mythologist by the name of Agustí Saho, who fused together different myths and fables from the Basque mythology with Christian influences to create a national creation myth. One of the old fables that he took from was the myth of the Herensuge, which is a seven-headed dragon that was often the antagonist in many knight-related folklore around the region. Fusing this with the seven-headed dragon from Revelations, who is said to be the devil bringing about the end of the world, no brain strings were restrained in the brainstorming process here, Saho created the Herensuge. It is said that this creature was present during the origins of Basque and will return once more at the end. This national creation myth was at one point pretty widely accepted, and it was believed that Herensuge would return, and when he does, so too will the country of Basque. Taking this back to Miraidon, the idea of a futuristic dragon could be a loose reference to the Herensuge, being a dragon that's supposed to be the harbinger of the end in the distant future. Because the Pokemon seems to be man-made as well, it could also be referencing the fact that the mythical creature itself is a man-made creation, but this also supports the widely speculated theory that Miraidon may be an electric dragon type, as electricity itself can be seen as a man-made creation to replicate lightning. Finally, Herensuge is also suggested to be a stand-in for Cigar in the national creation myth. With this in mind, could Miraidon be an artificial Pokemon created by man to replicate an old legendary Koraidon?
Find out more tonight on Ancient Aliens, only on the History Channel. With Koraidon and Miraidon being possibly inspired by Cigar and the Herensuge, respectively, what could the mythology behind these two mythical creatures provide for the possible storyline that awaits us in Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet? Given that both creatures have something to do with the creation myth and revelation myth, it paves the way for an exploration for the furthest past we can observe, the beginning, and the furthest future we can perceive, the end. Taking more from Saho's amalgamation, it could be that, long ago, before the region fully modernized, there was a civilization that worshipped a legendary Pokemon, Koraidon, that, with its immense power, kept balance. However, as the years go by and traditions fade, a disturbance causes a need for a similar power to be brought back, and a group within the region takes it upon themselves to replicate this power in the form of Miraidon, ultimately leading to a battle between the past and the future as the titans of tradition and modernity clash, tangling us between the crosshairs of the conflict.
Oh shit, here we go again.
You'd think after Mewtwo, Genesect, and Kyurem they'd learn their lesson, right?
Anyways, here's a question for you. With everything so far pointing to some time-related wibbly-wobbly, do you think there'll be hints of time travel in Scarlet and Violet? Let us know in the comments.
We'll be exploring the myth and folklore behind Pokemon Scarlet and Violet as it comes out, as well as other franchises that we're interested in the near future. But, if you'd like to watch another video about our favorite weed cat from our not-so-distant past, you can check out this video right here. We don't have that anymore.